all the people I've hurt.
Right.
Will I ever be able to redeem that?
Hmm.
I always think of the lyric from My Way. Regrets, I have a few.
Yeah.
Regrets, I have many.
Sure. So that's something that at a certain age that everybody, if they're willing to look at themselves, can find it.
Yeah. And that's and I can't believe he was like 25 or something when he wrote that, Arthur Miller.
Yeah.
It's just the progression of that. And it's the first memory play that delves into the connection of your memory and who you are, the expectations that you have of yourself that you've missed, that you have to. And the scary thing is, if you really go into it, you don't want to make the choice that he made, which is, they tell you right up front at the beginning of the play, it's called Death of a Salesman.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going there.
Yeah. Right.
And if you truly play a role, when you're playing a role, you can never, the character is always your hero, right?
Yeah.
No matter how flawed or damaged they are, a good actor admires their character, right?
Yeah.
There's a person who is flawed, they don't see themselves as flawed. You have to understand their rationales for all of these awful decisions that they make.
How do they justify it?
How they justify it. And man, he chooses to end his life. Boy, this is the first time that I always had to make sure that I did something to kind of step away from the role. I never subscribed to that. Actors go, oh my God, every night I have to be careful because I'm so connected. I'm like, man, say the last line and let's go to the bar.
Right.
Come on. Right. But this was the first time I was like, oh, this is what they're talking about. You start to look at that in yourself and you're like, I never thought I could even have any sort of rationale of,
But that's writing, right? That's the writing. That's the mathematics of emotion. He got you there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You guys, that led to that, which led to that, and that's when you go, oh man, that's great writing. The callback is because of something that, there was a line, and this is a real acting moment. There was a line that Linda says to one of my sons at the end, both of you, you're both good boys, right? Don't worry, you're both of you, both good boys. And that triggered something in me because my mother on her deathbed said, Wendell, I'm dying. You and your brother stick together. That's your brother, right? You guys stay close to each other, both of you. And when I would hear that on stage, you're both good boys. It was sense memory of the moment of my mother telling me she was dying. And that fueled everything from that moment on for the rest of the play. It wasn't my line. It wasn't the situation that I had with my son. It was my wife saying, you're both good boys. That triggered something in me. Not only did it take me to my personal life, which my mother said to me on my deathbed, and at the same time, I realized what was at stake, that I was losing my family, my two boys. Reminded me of my father when he said, my father left me and I would never abandon my kids. That triggered in me. Then at the same time, I realized that I had given them nothing. So I had abandoned them. And all of that in that split moment gave me everything that drove me at the end of the play to say, I'm out. And to make that decision to end your life because you think that's giving someone something.
Crazy.
What an awful, awful human rationale to take your life because you think that's giving someone else their life when it isn't. When it isn't true.
No, it's making it worse.
Yeah. So that's acting to me. That creating the world so strong that it induces the behavior. I would get to the end of that play, and I didn't have to think about. I didn't think about anything. It would take me. It would take over.
But you recovered?
No, I haven't. I'm holding on to it because I want to do it on Broadway.
Oh, okay.
I actually revisit the journey of the play all the time. I'm like, man, I did it over in London. I want to do it in New York, so.
Well, hopefully you get that chance. But like in when you're reflecting on it before, when we reflect on our own lives and our own experiences, it seemed like, you connected to your own flaws and mistakes and how many people you hurt. I have to assume that, the gift of being able to spend time with your 95-year-old father puts a lot of that stuff in perspective.
That was one of the things that, I think about all the time. I think, as I said in the beginning of this, that's been the blessing of this pandemic, that I get to spend time with him. I think of my mother who said, take care of your father. She knew she was dying. Take care of your father. And it connects me with her. Every time let me go see my dad, I go, wait, man, hold on. You were given a gift, brother. So, it makes me appreciate life too.
That's great. And so now I know you went to school with a lot of these musicians, but music's a big part of your life as well.
I love music, man. When you grew up in New Orleans, it's great. You sing. Well, I was having a little fun. Let Marc, man, run.
Yeah.
That's my boy back there. That's a funny motherfucker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. You've been here. You like, what did they say? I can't understand. That's some New Orleans shit there. And actually, Ellis Marcellus taught me, he said, jazz is based on the emulation of human dialogue. When you're trading fours, we're having a conversation,
Oh, yeah.
And the improvisation that it comes from. And it's really the American aesthetic on display. Right?
Yeah.
Freedom within form. You have to honor the form of the music. But as a soloist, you have the right as an individual to go as far as you want to go.
I love it.
It's out of the form. So it's freedom within form. We're a nation of laws, but as an American, we celebrate individuality.
Yeah.
Right? Honor the form, honor the laws, but be yourself.
Yeah.
Be free. It's a finite amount of notes with an infinite amount of combinations.
Yeah.
That's improvisation. And then that taught me how to act, right?
Right.
Because it's a finite amount of words, but with an infinite amount of ways of saying them and an infinite amount of ways of having those words affect you.
Right.
And that's jazz. And that's what the American aesthetic is. Unique to our experience, right? It's the best display of the American aesthetic. How the two can coexist: technical proficiency and exactness and order and form and laws and the form of chords of music or the written word and script, but the infinite amount of possibilities from that. And both can be honored. And that's the American aesthetic on display, and so richly displayed in music. And when I think of music, I think of jazz. Now, that happens in all stuff too, man. I always go back to that Led Zeppelin tune, which that's when I understood theory or counting, really. Dun 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 dun. But here's the thing about it: it's 4 and 3, right?
Right.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, da da da. But the beat is on the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 5, right?
Yeah.
3 and 4, and they meet up on 12, right? And when I figured that out, I was like, wait a minute, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And you sit there and you go, oh, well, what it displays is how it's free.
Yeah.
But it's thought out too.
Yeah.
And you think it's a little off, oh man, it's a little off right in the middle of that run. It's a little off, but it's not off. And then it comes back on the head, on the 12.
Yeah.
3 times 12. Right?
Yeah.
I remember when I understood how to do Shakespeare because of that.
Really?
literally September 1981, Village Vanguard. I'm checking out Arthur Blythe. And I was at school at Juilliard, man, and, Shakespeare was just kicking my ass. The verse and all of that and understanding the iambic pentameter and how to use it and all. And that same challenge of how do you honor the form of it and how does that free you up? It feels restrictive, right?
Right.
I went to hear Arthur Blythe. I remember the tune. Right? And I loved it. And I kept humming the tune and I was looking around when he started his solo. And Arthur Blythe was, avant-garde.
Yeah.
He went all out, right? And they're swinging. And I'm looking around the club and I keep singing the melody. He's all over the place. And when he came back to the top of the tune, we were right together. And then I went, oh, wait a minute. When I thought he was just playing all kinds of craziness, he knew exactly where he was at all times.
Yeah.
He kept the order of the tune and the form. And I was like, oh, that's it. You can do whatever the fuck you want. But, you
just got to land it.
You got to honor that form. Right?
Yeah.
So, the two can happen. They can coexist. So that's my mantra. The two can coexist. And I'm like, oh, that's it. That's it.
Huh. So that
and that's art, and that's real art, and that's art. That art is also in science. That's the art of science.
Sure.
If you find the art of something, it's that understanding of the complexity of it, the fact that you can honor form, that two things can coexist. You can honor form and at the same time be an individual, be free, be exploring everything. And so when in whatever field you're in, you can say that's the art of it, right? That's what science was all about. High math. I remember trigonometry class. Marc, you have a proof and I have a proof. There's a truth and a reality at the end. There's the answer. But you're going to get to it your way. I'm going to get to it my way. It doesn't change the reality at the end. The two can coexist. The truth of the matter is the same. That's why I tell people, man, all the time. They talk about policing, the police reform that's happening now. I said the art of policing is the fact that you should be able to police, check people, arrest people, hold people accountable, arrest criminals, prevent crime from happening, hunt down and investigate and capture criminals, all at the same time as not giving up your principled values, and you don't have to do it with abuse. The two can coexist.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, well, you're taking that away from me now. What, I can't kneel on somebody's neck? I can't beat a motherfucker down, right? I can't beat a motherfucker. Oh, well, now I can't police. Oh, we got to retire. I got to leave. Like, you mean to tell me you can't do the two at the same time? Then that means that you're not American. Because the American aesthetic is the fact that you have the ability to do the two at the same time, right?
Right.
That you have the ability to be free and inventive and explore a way of doing something. Community policing, do whatever you got to do. Be tight with a cat. Say, man, I understand why you did that. Turn around. I'm just going to arrest you for a second because you shouldn't have shot that dude. What are you talking about? Hey, man, we'll talk about it in the car down the stairs. I should be able to arrest you without, and still get it done, right? But honoring form, living within the accountability of the laws and stuff. So that's the reform we're talking about. And that's why I challenge people saying that's an American aesthetic. Those who cannot do that, you're saying that you can't be American.
Huh.
You can't be a nation of laws that gives you the freedom to be individuals. You can't honor the authority that you have and stay within the confines of some sort of civility and be a police, then that means you're not a good police. That means you're not an American. Because the truest of Americans can say, I can honor this, I can honor form, and be free within it, because that's an American aesthetic. That's what the American aesthetic is all about. That's the greatest thing about the Constitution. We have the form of the Constitution, but it's amorphic and ever-changing because they say, man, this shit has to be better. We know we fucking up. We all know this. Hey, man, we all got slaves. And we talking about every man is free. Now, you know it. So we're going to come up with this 3/5 of a man compromise and shit because you motherfuckers down south got slaves and you making money and you don't want to give up that money. But, we're going to set up this thing that it can change because we know it needs to change. But at the same time, we have some values in this shit that's going to actually serve us as we make the changes, right?
Yeah.
So when we honor John Lewis,